Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton. Hey, welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show with me, Shelley Overton. And it is May 27th, 2020. We are coming at you from Orlando, Florida. So it's a little overcast and it's probably going to rain today. That's the way it's been all week. And so, sorry, I'm just going to straighten myself out a little bit here. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to share with you all the astrology for the week. So we're going to power through and see what we can do here. And let's just get rid of some pop-ups on the screen. There we go. Okay, I've got my printout of this week's astrology because I'm still trying to master doing screen share with my desktop. So let's just go over what we've got in the sky today, and then I'll go over some other observations with you and see where we go. Okay, so it's a Leo rising today here in Orlando, and that means the moon just came up over the horizon. The moon is in Leo. It's a really fortunate sign because Leo rules risk-taking, leadership, and it's also a really good sign for gambling. So if you know a Leo, they're potentially really lucky at gambling. I know my dad is a Leo and he's pretty good at gambling. I know this is annoying me. My bangs, for those of you who can't see. Anyway, we've got the moon, which of course is emotion and home and connection to family. In Leo makes the energy of children come out more, and creativity. You may feel like you really want to express yourself much more creatively right now. Leos tend to like fire energy in what they create, so glass blowing or something that has to do with a sense of self, so like scrapbooking. I remember that got really big there for a while. Jewelry is a good Leo craft to do because it enhances the appearance, it adds a little bling and a little fun. Glitter, no doubt, is a really good Leo modality if you're doing any kind of crafts. Also, when we have the moon in any sign and it enhances that energy, it also gives us an answer to something that we may have been wondering about. It can give us the culmination of a story or the answer to a story or an indicator of what the outcome will be. So new energy with Leo, it's a new story, a new craft. And so we're going, and actually it's more than just crafts and more than just children. It's like I said before, it's leadership and connectedness. We want to connect to other people and really feel like they've seen us, which is part of the reason Leos can feel like they're never loved enough, and they need kudos and they need constant attention in connection to other people. It's just a real strong Leo attribute. Hair is also another Leo attribute. So right now, just the moon is in Leo, but it may mean we want to do something different with our hair, or we're kind of annoyed by our hair, like I am right now. Anyway, I got a little bit of fairy hair here showing. It's like, I think this is my last strand of fairy hair, but we really love that fairy hair. Okay, so we've also got a lot of Gemini in the sky, and the North Node is at 29 degrees Gemini. My chart, personally, I have a 28-degree North Node in Gemini, so I'm in a nodal return, and it's kind of been dabbling there this week. And when the moon was in Gemini a couple days ago, we had a little family poker party, and I cleaned up. So the moon on my North Node, very fortunate, and the moon was also on the transiting North Node. So if you're one of the people who have a late degree North Node in Gemini, you're really lucky this week. And even if you're not one of those people who have it natally, it can be a really fortunate spot for you when the planets transit over the North Node. So this week and coming up in the next couple weeks, we have 3 planets besides the moon earlier we have 3 more planets transiting over the North Node. The first one is Mercury, and Mercury will hit that North Node tomorrow, which, you know, if you're listening to this in archive, is Thursday, and that's the 28th of May. I keep wanting to say March, May, May. And then Venus is going to be transiting over that node. And now comes the part of the podcast where I get to put my glasses on and see if I can tell you when that connection is specifically. I didn't actually have that prepared for you, but since I'm talking about it, we'll just look it up. Let's see, we are all the way in the last week of May, which is crazy. And let's see, Mercury, Venus goes, oh yeah. Venus is retrograde, so I forgot it's sitting there right on my little chart. I forgot she's retrograde. She is not going to join up with the node right away. And when will she? She will do it later on. Oh my, not until August. So August, actually, North Node with Venus in August is going to be really fortunate for romance, barring any other complications from coronavirus. But she will join up in August, early beginning weeks of August. And so Venus conjunct the North Node is, of course, love and money. And it will be in Gemini, which means communication and broadcasting. So there could be a really wonderful energy around feeling like you're really getting attention, and probably more than you can even handle. So early August probably will be really good for many of us. If the nodes fall into your 7th house or 8th house, if they fall in your 2nd house, the North Node, then those will be a really, those charts will be really good for getting in someone new, and multiples actually. So maybe even a twin, who knows? You might even attract a twin. And then the last one is the sun. So I'm gonna just double check that again, because I want to make sure that our node is going to stay strong and steady. And we'll tell you when the sun goes and joins up. The sun goes to 29 degrees of Gemini, but it'll probably be at 28. No, it's still doing 29. So it's the 19th and 20th of June. We'll have that conjunction. So definitely that's a fated point, F-A-T-E. And I know I'm like, why do people say F-A-T? Why do they spell out fated? Because well, it wouldn't be a faded point, like it disappeared. But I guess because Americans tend to make their T's sound like D's, that's why we spell it. But anyway, fated point, just have more diction. So when the sun hits the North Node, it's going to be a pretty significant energy, because the sun shines the light and illuminates the energy of that degree. And it's a late degree, 29 degrees of Gemini. So the sun will be culminating in energy. It will be wrapping up its story in Gemini. And of course, like I've said time and time again, that our president is a Gemini. And so there is definitely some story associated with that. I think if you want to know what's going on with him, definitely look up his chart. I study it a lot and try and see what's going on. But Geminis right now with the North Node can be in a really positive cycle. And so in their bubble, they're definitely having a good moment. But the other thing about Gemini right now is that all the early energy in Gemini is squaring Mars. And I wanted to talk about this because Mars in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, talk about illusion and ideals and a dream of how things can be, which can be really helpful if you do the work and pay attention to, law of cause and effect and what you're attracting. And then you put your mind to what it is you're trying to get, but then allow it to come to you. So I think a lot about this because I'm really trying to integrate some of my emotions and feelings politically into what's going on right now. And knowing that the president is a Gemini, it's like, okay, what goes on with him? Why are things the way they are? And where are we heading? And definitely I've noticed an increase in conspiracy theories. So we have 3 planets in Gemini, and of course a couple of days ago we had 4 bodies in the heavens in Gemini, and they were squaring Neptune and Mars. That alone, well, Mercury alone, can increase the energy of conspiracy theories and communicating that out as a concept to the masses. So I hope I'm not covering the mic on this computer. Anyway, yeah, so having these two bodies in the heavens, so this would be Mars and this is the sun right now, squaring each other, the ego is attached to communicating ideas, and the ideas being communicated can be faulty or pie in the sky. But of course, if you're channeling the higher energy, higher vibration of Pisces, it can be really intuitive and really on the money. But when we have the energy of duality, of seeing things in multiple ways, there is strongly the potential with Pisces to be conspiratorial, delusional, or covert, things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about that maybe people are hinting at. So that's also another energy that I'm noticing right now, is things are going on that are not necessarily being talked about. You know, I'm just going to leave it at that for the time being. So yeah, we've got Mercury joining up with the North Node, which means there are more, there's a broader sense of collective consciousness around information. And that Mercury ruling information, ruling Gemini, is going to influence what's going on in the collective. And honestly, right now, he's at the last degree of a wide square to Neptune. So his ability to communicate these ideas is getting a little curtailed. I've noticed online a lot more challenging of falsehoods right now. So there's that energy coming in that, you know, it's an ending degree. It's like, what are we truly believing in, and what is reality? What is truth? Mercury will go into Cancer this week, and I believe it is Thursday. I just had it marked on my lovely ephemeris. And for those of you who are new and don't know what an ephemeris is, I talk about it fairly frequently. You probably know from other shows. I was going to say classes, but it's kind of like a class to me. I tend to teach a lot. And my style of having astrology in my podcasts is very educational. That's kind of what I aim for, is to teach newbies about it. But Thursday at 2:09 p.m. in Eastern time, which would be 7:09 p.m. in England and 11:09 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. And I'm sorry, anything in between, on either way, you're going to have to find out for yourself. Just add or subtract hours depending on what you are in as far as time zones. And so Mercury moving into Cancer is understanding communication, ideas, and children, smaller animals, household pets around the home, around nurturing ideas and nurturing family members and neighbors and siblings. Mercury in Gemini is siblings and neighbors and animals, but in Cancer, it goes from concepts of Gemini down into the emotional realm of Cancer. And so the emotional realm means that now, instead of just the ideas, we have to bring it into our lives in a visceral way. We are experiencing the information through emotions. And so if you pay attention to how Mercury in Cancer operates, it is much more nonverbal. It can be passive aggressive. So, you know, for the next month, well, not even the next month. So quite honestly, I forgot, we're coming into a Mercury retrograde. And so, of course, we're going to go back a little bit into Gemini for the course of that. So let's just find out our dates on that again. Like I said, I'm a little bit slow today. I'm not 100%, very exhausted, honestly. Okay, and so Mercury is in the shadow as of June 2nd, and he retrogrades at 14 degrees of Cancer on the 17th of June. And he gets back into, oh no, he never does. He only goes to 5 degrees Cancer. So I thought it was going to be a Mercury in Gemini ends of the retrograde, but it's not. He's completely in Cancer, and then he gets out of the shadow on the 26th of July. So for the next couple months, we are actually going to experience Mercury in Cancer and that energy very strongly. What does that mean? Well, of course, now that the nodes have shifted, it means that there's going to be kind of not as much life or death feeling to this, which honestly, I think on some level, I felt the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn were much more severe when it came to career and family. But now that they've shifted, the Mercury in Cancer is wanting to go back over our ideas around what family is all about and our connection to mom. And if you're a mom, it's what you feel about your children, could also potentially be what you feel about your mom, whether she's living or deceased, and how you integrate what you say to her. So are your ideas being heard? Are you able to be who you need to be to nurture yourself and really understand what's going on through your emotions? So that's coming in. And okay, let's just go back to, okay, now we'll hit Venus again a little bit. So Venus is retrograde and she's going back over. I don't know if she gets all the way back into Cancer, or not Cancer, Taurus herself. But now you see what I do if you're watching the video podcast. And for those of you listening, I'm on YouTube now, posting the video podcasts every week. And so you can see what I do. And this is what I did behind the scenes, but nobody saw me do all the research as I was trying to come up with everything. But yeah, Venus, nope, she is free and clear of Gemini once she goes direct. She goes direct 24th of June, and then she continues on in Gemini. So she'll be out of that in July. Okay, so anyway, Venus and Gemini, she will continue to be very social, chatty. I know that a lot more podcasts can be initiated under Mercury and Venus and Gemini. Whenever Gemini is lit up, we want to talk. We want to communicate through news articles, through TV, podcasting, broadcasting, internet, anything that gets our voices heard. Is it necessarily truthful? Not always. And so you have to be very aware. Gemini, you know, every sign has its high and low energy. Gemini in its high energy is very social, very charismatic, and loves to connect to people and is really full of ideas and understanding of things. And in the lower vibration isn't always truthful. So we have this energy. I'm sorry, just get that off of my screen. We have this energy that can be dual and dualistic. And of course, every sign has a duality to it, but Gemini is the sign of the twins. So we are in that timeline, in that energy of the year right now. And so it is much more about, is it truthful or is it not truthful? And so I just noticed, this is also interesting. I noticed that Twitter posted now when something is not completely factual, and they will call out things that have proven to not be truth. And I saw that Trump had that on some of his tweets. He's got this little notification that this is not actually factual. And he mentioned how his freedom of speech is being thwarted or curtailed or whatever. And I'm thinking, no, because Twitter's freedom of speech is also a right. So both of them, they didn't take down his tweets. They just added that, you know, that doesn't fact check. So, you know, it's an interesting time. Okay, we have Uranus at 8 degrees of Taurus, and he is squaring to Saturn. So this is another interesting thing going on right now. We've got the energy of money and finances. I was reading this morning that the markets, historically, when investors invest in markets, they look to the kind of returns that the stock can give them. And they will buy based on how well the companies are doing. And currently that's not what's going on. There has been a real big push in the stocks to go up. Like, people are buying lots of stocks. And so it's a bear market, even though a lot of indicators are saying no, companies are closed and the dividends aren't going to be there and people are not working, and some companies are filing bankruptcy like Pier 1, and there was another major one, Macy's, not Macy's. Oh, maybe it was Macy's. Oh, I think maybe Macy's, not sure, but you can look into it. So the indicators of what makes the stock market go up are not acting normal. And part of that is because Uranus, the planet ruling abnormal, alternative ideas, and eccentricity, is in Taurus, the sign of money. But not only that, it is squaring Saturn in the sign that Uranus rules. So Saturn in Aquarius is squaring Uranus in Taurus. And that is going to make a lot of financial upheaval. It's just going to do that. It's altering how we look at finances, how we look at monetary systems. It's making it act eccentrically. It's making it quantum, or in other words, for people who are thinking in a linear fashion, it is not linear. And that means that what normally is very logical, like A plus B equals C, now becomes A plus D equals horse. It is not the way it normally goes. And what does that mean for the future? Well, we're going to have the square again at the end of the year. Uranus does go retrograde, I want to say in June or July, but it's going to be, he's going to move backwards in degrees. Saturn is already retrograde. And when Saturn gets back into Aquarius in December, he will come back into square to Uranus when Uranus is coming backwards at that time as well. Saturn, probably, I don't have next year's ephemeris, but Saturn will probably square Uranus in the spring of next year. So that's going to be a very significant time. And I'd have to look into it. I haven't looked really deeply yet into that particular aspect, but they square each other, they retrograde, they go direct, they square again. Saturn may have one more square next year, depending on how far he gets in the sign of Aquarius. It takes 2.5 years to go through a sign. So another year from now, he's going to be hovering right around 10 degrees. Currently, Uranus is at 8. He'll go retrograde way back to, like roughly 6 degrees. And so they have this dance. And when they have the final culmination of their square, will be a significant shift in markets, in money and finances, in love relationships. Maybe you're not in a relationship and you're thinking about maybe dating. There could be something altering and shifting in how you think of relationships, how you think about your place in love. And Uranus is saying, you want independence. You don't want to be told what to do, but you want someone to support you in a community fashion. So you want a friend. You want someone who shares a common vision of the future. So you're going to see that energy coming in with Uranus and Taurus. It's about, what can we grow together? How can we grow as a community while each one of us has our job within that community? So let's see, let's jump over to Neptune again. Neptune, like I said, right now, Neptune is squaring all of the Gemini. Mars is at 9 degrees, so he's going relatively slowly. And let's just look up Mars and see how long it takes for him to join up with Neptune. That, as I've said in the past, Mars in Pisces, he's covert. He's doing things behind the scenes. He doesn't truly want to be seen and active in the collective external consciousness. He's about the subliminal. He's about what's going on in his own mind, in his own world. And so Mars will get to Aries in, that's going to be big in July. So July 30th. He will be going into Aries. So for the majority of June, and also, no, did I say July? No, June 30th. June 30th, and then he'll be there for the 4th of July, which is pretty significant in my mind, having Mars there and, yeah, all the Capricorn energy. But Mars won't really touch on Capricorn planets until later in the year, towards December, which is a hugely significant time of year. Here, helping. There you go. Okay. So we're going to have Mars wrapping up his time after the retrograde in Aries. He's going to be changing signs towards the end of the year into Taurus. Again, that will square Saturn when he goes back into Aquarius in December. We've got Saturn going into Aquarius in December. And then we have Jupiter also going into Aquarius within 3 days of Saturn going into Aquarius. So the energy shift going on in December is significant. Of course, it's within a month of the election. That's going to have to be a whole other podcast, if not more than one podcast. It's going to be a big end of year. I mean, I'm just telling you that contentions and things coming to a head at the end of the year, you just look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of astrological push to new energy, to wrap up old energy, and to understand where we've been energetically. Obviously, we've had what I consider to be like a pause year, and that we have paused forward motion in a lot of respects through this year. Jupiter retrograde going back over Pluto. He's got, I would say, a couple weeks, maybe a week and a half before he actually joins up. And so I'm just going to look that up for you real quick before we end the podcast. And we'll see when Jupiter joins up with Pluto. He's only a couple degrees away. So Jupiter is expansion, transformation. Going retrograde in Capricorn means that he's much more restricted. In Jupiter, he wants to have fun and play and show how you can be your own person, how you don't have to be responsible for everyone else's everything. And speaking of which, there was a very interesting 3-minute video that Billie Eilish did that is called Not My Responsibility. And it's pretty fascinating. If you want to look into it, look it up online, Billie Eilish, E-I-L-I-S-H. And she is definitely a child of Aquarian times and the vanguard social entertainment icon that is going to really function as kind of a projection object. So people see a lot of what they believe projected onto her, and she will reflect back a lot more of a different alternative mindset that the youth have. And so remember that this is another thing I wanted to touch on. I tell you what, I'll keep looking for my Pluto Jupiter conjunction while I tell you, but this generation is very much about Aquarius and about alternative and justice. So it's interesting because I consider Pluto to be the justice planet, and the sign of Scorpio is very much based in, and you may or may not believe it, but as an astrologer of many decades, Pluto is about justice. They are striving to understand a deeper visceral meaning of life. And so in the positive energy of Scorpio and Pluto, justice is key. Integrity is key. You don't want to lie to a Scorpio. That's for sure. So yeah, darn it. This is not popping up quickly. Okay. Well, I might look it up on the ephemeris. Anyway, so having this generation, like I've said, late 90s, Uranus and Aquarius and Uranus and Neptune were joined in the sky in Aquarius. So it's interesting that the generation who had that in their charts are the ones about to graduate college this year. And so the graduates had Saturn right on that Uranus Neptune conjunction in Aquarius, changing their worlds forever. So it was quite significant. Okay, I'm still trying to find when Jupiter links up with Pluto by retrograde. And sorry, because I'm sitting here trying to do it while I'm also trying to talk about other things. So pretty much the 1st of July. And that means, like I said, we're going to have a lot of energy heading into July, a lot of intense energy, major shifts, major world changes. Yeah, do I want to talk about what it is? It's structure, it's leadership. Wouldn't surprise me if something happens to Boris Johnson by then, leaving the prime minister position. I know that he's been having troubles over in England. And again, remember, England is Capricorn. It's a Capricorn country where we're a Cancer country. Remember, revolution, we split. So Boris Johnson, I don't know if you've paid attention to what's going on over there, but apparently he had an advisor who the country was under lockdown and he ignored it. He was the one who actually came up with the rules to go by for the lockdown in England. And during the time that everyone was supposed to be in lockdown and staying away from the public, he drove across country for family purposes, but he drove 3 times, breaking the lockdown. And then when the country was in arms over this event that he ignored this lockdown everyone else had to observe, Boris Johnson basically said a number of different things that really aren't true, and kind of respun that whole event into something else, and everyone's calling him out on it. And he didn't get rid of, his name is Dominic Cummings. He didn't get rid of him. And so he's still there. And Boris Johnson is now probably going to have to face the music over that. So early July, I see some significant shifts going on around politics with Pluto retrograde and Jupiter's transformation. It's about foreign culture and foreign affairs. Jupiter is also about freedom. There's a real strong energy associated with Jupiter being the centaur, which is half man, half horse, and he needs to be able to move and be free. With Jupiter retrograde, he's curtailed. His movement is not going in a forward motion, which is much more comfortable for Jupiter ruled people. That's also Sagittarians. So if you're a Sagittarius, this time right now is going to be significant for major life changes because your ruling planet is transiting over Pluto. So yeah, come around July 1st, lots of shifts. If you're a Scorpio, Pluto is retrograde. He'll have Jupiter on it. So Scorpio, I mean, I've got 2 planets in Scorpio and a Scorpio rising. Definitely paying attention to this energy. And then Saturn is also retrograde. He doesn't go back into Capricorn for, I think he's the middle of July, but I'll double check for you. Or it could be, when does he actually go in? Saturn, what are you doing? I can't find you. There you are. Yeah, also the 1st, 2nd day of July. So yeah, lots of shifts hitting right around the beginning of July. Authority, structure, shift, change, covert energy, things that are hidden. Neptune is now retrograde. Neptune forward is much more covert. Retrograde Neptune is more about laying bare what it knows and what it really wants. Instead of hiding things, it's saying, nope, this is how it is. So we're really coming into, and we're also not even talking about the eclipses, which I'll probably talk about next week because we're running out of time. Anyway, this shift right now with a lot of retrogrades and end degrees and shifting back into the sign it was just in is about clarifying and shifting how we look at the energy of what we've been doing. With that, I'm going to end this. I want to thank you for listening. If you have any interest in doing a private reading, I'm up for it. I really love doing private readings. I have the best clients in the world. They're all very wonderful. And so are my listeners. Thank you very much. If you want to find out more about me, I'm at angeliczodiac.com. And in the archives on YouTube, you will get all the information. I have it listed. I have it in the description. Check out YouTube. I've got all the videos that I'm doing here now for the podcast are on YouTube every week. I promote them on my Facebook page, AstroEnergy, Angelic Zodiac, both on Facebook, and also Instagram, Angelic Zodiac 1, which all this information will be at the end of the podcast as well. With that, I want to thank you for showing up and have a wonderful week. Stay healthy, stay safe, wear your masks. We appreciate it. All of those of us who don't want to be sick. Thanks. Bye.